How's everybody doing? Did everybody get a lot of rain in the past week?
You ready?
Are you ready, honey?
I'm ready.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Please rise. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. A day to be seized, yeah. The day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. Time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. Time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Woo!
Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings. I'm the assistant minister here. I want to welcome you here on this nice, warm Sunday morning, humid, muggy. Thank you. Muggy's the right word. Morning. It's funny. I don't mind the heat. The mugginess that bothers me a little bit. So we're used to the dry heat, as everybody says. So, yeah. So, anyway, so welcome. I've got two quick announcements. Really important announcements. First is next weekend is Dining with the Dudes, and the Dudes are ready to feed you some good food. So please come in, and if you're visiting for the first time, the Dudes get together and make a brunch for everybody on Sunday. So it's a second Sunday of the month that we do that, and so we're doing it this next Sunday. And then the other thing, there's only a few men in here, but we're also doing another men's retreat. We're going to try to escape from another room, so the escape room. So we'll be doing that on September 17th, and there's a sign up out there in the bookstore. So please plan to join us. If you have any questions about it, Eddie is our leader. He's the one that helped us try to get out of the other room that we escaped from. So anyways, it was a lot of fun. So if you have not done it, please join us. It's a great time. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay. Anyway, so a lot of fun. So anyways, we come together every Sunday to remember our truth, that we're whole, perfect, and complete just the way that we are, and that life is forever unfolding in divine right order. So today is no different. Today is that perfect day for each one of us as we learn and grow together. So now is the time to say our vision statement as we move into this service. So we'll say our vision statement together. We are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles, and so it is. So just sit back, relax. Oh, wait a minute. We have another announcement before we relax. Come on up, Julie.
No relaxing. No relaxing. Get excited. Good morning. Your friendly neighborhood Gourmets for God is here with an invitation especially for you. Gourmets for God is coming back for the third year. Yeah. Save the date and get ready for some seriously good food. What is Gourmets for God? Well, it's the fundraiser that you can eat. And we will be kicking it off in September, so stay tuned or check our website at wvcsl.com for more information. No need to RSVP, just show up with your big ideas to be big for food, fun, and fundraising.
Thank you, Julie. And I love participating in both sides. I love eating the food, but I also enjoy cooking it too. So it's a lot of fun. I'm really glad that we do this fundraiser. All right, so now's the time to get a service started. So if you can just sit back, relax, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's beautiful message. Thank you.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
So as we just sit in this quiet place, recognizing the unity, the oneness, the connection, just the beauty and the brilliance each new day brings, and the chance for all new possibilities from every thought or word heard, every scene of beauty that we look upon, every color, every joy, every sorrow brings us closer to God. Just as this service is one that is built by the hands and hearts of many to build that connection, to be that bridge of consciousness, not just for this center, but for all of humanity. The words that Reverend Karen brings to the table and to our hearts, the voices of the Bradfords, all the volunteers, everything that happens to make this the perfect day that it is. And I am so grateful for everyone sitting in front of us, everyone listening, everyone feeling the vibration of this beauty. And so it is. So my reading is from Mark Reed's book, The True You. It's a brilliant little book with beautiful artwork on the cover.
Who did the cover?
But I haven't been asked to pray in a while, and a friend of mine recently asked me to pray for her, and it was amazing the connection that happens when you immediately start to pray. You really are that bridge of consciousness from the source through you to that person, that place, that being, whatever. It's just an amazing sense of completion. and beauty when you pray. And I happened to just open this book, and it was The Science of Prayer. And I thought, very apropos. So, in The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, prayer is our own... I'm sorry, I have to put my glasses on. It's getting to be that age. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, prayer is its own answer. Since some people have been healed through prayer and others have not, the answer is not that God has responded to some prayers and not to others, but that some people have responded to God more than others. God is the perfect power within you. You experience God to the extent that you interact and develop a relationship with this power. When you let go of the notion that God is a being, the world starts to make more sense. The most glaring misperception that the ego tries to reinforce is that humankind and spirit are separate, and that God is a detached being out there somewhere. Nothing could be further from the truth. You are made of this perfect power. You are an individual expression of it. Because it is everything, you also live within it. Spirit is within you, and you're within spirit. This is the essence of the unity of all life. This is what Jesus meant throughout his parables, that you're a God-filled creative being, a son of God, and your word has power. So it is.
I start my day with love. Wanna start my day with love. That's what I get more of, is love. I start my day with love. Wanna start my day with love. That's what I get more of, is love. Love, 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 love. I start my day with peace. Wanna start my day with peace. I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. Gonna start my day with peace. I feel that sweet release of peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy. I start my day with joy. Everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. Gonna start my day with joy. Everything I do is infused with joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. I feel it. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. My day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Bradfords. You just spiffed that song up a whole bunch between the two of you, and you sound good together today. I love the Bradfords. I'm so happy we have the Bradfords. Good morning. Welcome to the West Valley. That was for you, not me. I cut them off. Welcome to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living, and I'm so happy that you are joining us today. I wanted to piggyback a little bit on what Julie was saying. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I want to add a little bit to what Julie was saying about Gourmets for God. So for those of you who have not had the pleasure of playing in that fundraiser with us before, what we're doing now is we're promoting it because we want you to begin thinking about creative ways you can participate, to be a donor. So what we do first, we spend a couple weeks just asking you to contribute your good ideas, and she'll have forms for you to fill out and all that. And I love being there are a whole bunch of us that get real creative, and then Reverend Clyde always has 2 or 3 things he likes to do. And boy, last year we got really, really creative because of COVID. We did a lot of things that were just online, actually, not even hybrid. And so be thinking about what can you cook up. Would you like to have a few people over to your house? Do you want to take a small group of people out to a restaurant? There are endless ideas. She's going to have it all posted on the in the newsletter and on the webpage. So you be thinking about that. How can you use your creativity, or how can you just contribute to your community? The beauty of this fundraiser is it's pure profit for the church. It doesn't cost us anything to do it, so it's a really hearty, smart thing, and a lot of churches do it. It's not unique to us. It's a lovely thing that we all play in, we'd like to. I have a fun message. I don't know if it's a beautiful message. Reverend Clyde always says, I have a beautiful message. This is not mine. I really have no business stealing it, but I borrowed it. These are eggs from Kathy and Rod's chicken farm. They don't really have a chicken farm. How many chickens do you have? 10. And Reverend Clyde is in relationship with the Bradfords to get fresh eggs on a regular basis. And look, they're different colors. They're so beautiful. I love them. So it turned out that when I was creating my talk titles last year, I found this fabulous quote that Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote about, and it turned me on so much I went, I have to do a talk on it. And I told her a year ago, October, I'm going to do a message, a Sunday message called Setting Eggs. And you have to train me, you have to teach me some things about chickens so I can tie in what Dr. Ernest Holmes, he was a farm boy, he was born and raised on a farm in Bethel, Maine, and 1887 he was born, and he was the youngest of 9 brothers, and they had that farm life. But it turns out Dad wasn't such a good farmer, and they eventually lost the farm when Ernest was about 12 to 14 years old. But meanwhile, he had all this great upbringing. And so we're talking about nature this month. Centers for Spiritual Living all around the globe are focusing on nature and in watching nature so that we can be living in everyday wonder. Isn't that a beautiful theme? Living in everyday wonder. And I wonder a lot about chickens. I've been doing my homework, getting ready. I've been so excited for the coming of this message. So the title, Setting Eggs, is actually S-E-T, not sitting on eggs, but setting eggs is an actual statement like ready, set, go. And that's what you can take with you today. I'm going to talk about hens that hatch a brood or they get broody over their eggs, and I'm going to explain what all of that means. And I already know some of you know. How many of you have had chickens before? Let me see your hands if you have. A good number of you. I'd say about a quarter of you or so. So here's this fabulous quote that comes from Dr. Ernest Holmes. I found it in the Essential Ernest. You won't believe how cool this quote is. You're going to know immediately why I got so excited. The hen sets on her eggs for 21 days, and a brood of chickens is hatched. She is not a philosopher. She's not a scientist. She's not a mathematician, and she never heard of heaven or hell. but she knows how to set. Who is there among us that can contemplate one idea for 21 days and keep it warm and alive? This is why I continue to be enamored with Dr. Ernest Holmes, because every now and then you stumble on a quote so precious and with so much depth in a sort of lighthearted way. And it not only tickles me, but it feeds me, and it gives me good creative ideas for how to present a message to you. So what we're talking about today, in the way that Holmes sets us up with that quote, is that and yes we can, the answer is yes we can we contemplate an idea and stay awake and aware, and look at those desires of our heart, the reasons we turn to Spirit and we open our lives or our minds to expand to greater possibilities. Because can we do that? Because it's really this is a really good lesson, because what we're doing is using our imagination to create an inner feeling, an inward feeling of what's possible. So when a chicken broods, when her maternal instincts kick in, and then she wants her eggs to hatch. And so that's why she'll sit for 21 days. She has this instinct to take care of the what she's cooking up there, what she's keeping, why she's keeping those eggs warm. It's that thing about the way life desires to continue, and so we have instincts for that. And just like chickens, we got our own instincts. But I want us to use a little bit of nature today to see how we can pull up our instinct and manage it and choose to notice it and use those beautiful innate yearnings in our being to increase the joy and the goodness we experience in our lives. So you might say, the talk is about expectation, but you might say that what we're talking about today is brooding over our expectations. We're going to use that idea of brooding in a positive way. So you've heard brooding used as like worrying or hovering over it, brooding in it. We connect it to sort of moodiness. But what we're talking about here is keeping that, whatever that intent is, we're keeping it alive within us. We're believing in it, and we're nurturing it into being in the same way that chicken just sits on those eggs. Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. So let's talk about that expectancy that can fuel our belief. I want to use this idea of prayer, spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, or any way you pray. We're gonna talk about that now. See prayer as a form of brooding in a way that we can protect and nurture and expect our desires, our dreams, the yearnings of our heart to be to unfold in our livingness. We want to learn to pray the way a hen sets. So playing in that material, I began to think, that the practice of affirmative prayer, it's a lovely thing to learn. Not a lot of churches use it as dynamically as we do, but you can hear it in the voice of people like Joel Osteen, and lots of people have picked up on how this approach is a little reversed from the way many people, probably back on the farm, the way churches and ministers, preacher people, which were mostly men, I guess, in those days. They would, the prayer always seemed to have an element of some kind of humility that reminded us that we really weren't worthy to go to God. That's why some religions have intermediary ways for us to pray. And the whole art of affirmative prayer is the reversal of that mentality that goes with that kind of praying. So when we're teaching affirmative prayer, we are stepping away from pleading with God or, talking to God, begging God to intervene in some situation in our life, and we're putting the emphasis in a very different direction. That maybe there's a way we can talk to God, that we can learn to pray, we can communicate that is affirmative and that helps us to be better at accepting the good we desire instead of praying to an entity far away from us. We can make it more personal. And in that way, we ultimately end up creating and developing a more intimate relationship with Spirit itself. And I think that's a real bonus. So we're sort of turning things around in our approach to prayer. And then what we learn is that affirmative prayer is actually based on the art of expectation. So I get a lot of feedback about how it can be confusing to always be expecting good. The world isn't always good, they say. But I want to say that we have some control over our relationship to how much good we have in our life. It is done unto us as we believe. In fact, we say that there is a law, a spiritual law that corresponds to us at the exact level of our willingness of what we can receive. It meets us exactly where we are. We can have no more, we can have no less, which is why I love that quote that said, God does not answer some prayers more than others. God does not respond to some people more than others, but it's the people who respond to God in an increased, in a very open way. And that's what I want to share with you. That's what I'm hoping you can take away today after we have this conversation. So prayer always begins at the beginning. And in fact, in the steps to spiritual mind treatment, in the 5 steps to the way we teach how to pray effectively in an affirmative prayer, we start at the top. And at every prayer, you start at the very beginning, God. In the beginning, God. God is. Right? Our Father, which art in heaven. You start at the beginning with the Creator, with God, with what you know. You begin to speak some words that will help remind you, the prayer, the one praying, words that will remind us of what we know to be true about God. And perhaps we have forgotten because some situation feels a little overwhelming. So we go right back to the beginning. You know what? Right where I am. Right where I am, God is. Right? God cannot be missing or lost or limited in any way. And so I remind myself, I recognize that God is here. I remember the truth of what I believe. I analyze the facts in a way that now helps ground me to have a sense of union, a sense of connection. That's where the intimacy in the relationship comes from. It's an interior connection. I think it's the best part. It's like I always say that I love to get high on the Holy Spirit. As my drug of choice. So we are the ones that establish that connection. When I pray, I am not trying to rustle up God. Woohoo, here I am, where are you? I'm not doing that. When I pray, I am attempting to evoke within me my own awareness of the presence of God. Oh, right. God has to be here. Oh, yeah. Good. So I'm going to use whatever words I need so that I can build my own confidence, that I can reconnect energetically to my own conviction and my beliefs around the presence of God and the way that prayer works. So, and then once I do that, once I'm grounded and connected, then I can speak the words of realization, whatever it is that has called me to this sacred art of prayer. And then we bless it, we release it, we let go and let God. We get it as I believe it's mine and therefore it's done. And then we say, and so it is. Right? And if you walk away from that prayer and you hear in your mind you're still arguing about the old thing you just prayed about, you go right back to the top. God is. God is. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see how your thinking is today, Missy. You're a little broody today, aren't you? Right? So I see what's going on here. I go right back to the top. God is. Yep, right here, right now. God is right here. And I am unifying with that essence that I know to be God. It is good. It is love. It is joy. It is perfect balance. It is harmony. It is peace. It is all those things that we just forget from time to time. So Jesus did leave us that model prayer, Our Father, which art in heaven. A model prayer. They said to Jesus, how shall we pray? Teacher, tell us. How shall we pray? And he said, pray then these words. Pray this way. And he gave us this model. And I'm always intrigued to see how much, when I personally just sit with that Lord's Prayer and I break it down into the 5 steps of treatment, I'm totally blown away at how well, I don't know if anybody ever put thought around it, but there's like no other way to pray. That is the model prayer. And theologians who study all this stuff, they're not religious scientists. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm a theologian, that's for sure. But like the scholastic Bible scholars and all of that, the academia world of Bible, they have said that the Lord's Prayer is not the only prayer in the Bible, that there are other occasions. And then you can Google that and you look them up, and I played with them all this week. They say that when you really examine every incident where it is reported that Jesus prayed, you will see there is one theme. They say the only thing Jesus ever prayed for was unity. Isn't that touching? And so I went, well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I got to see this with my own eyes. It's a theologian. What does he know, or she? And as I went through everything presented biblically, and I'm an old Bible student, I see that there's truth in this. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But when they say the only thing Jesus ever prayed for was unity, I was thinking that it's that first step. It's the beginning. It's at the top. We are recognizing there is only God. Right here, right now, I'm clearing everything else away and I'm recognizing there is only God. I'm unifying with that truth, with that infinite intelligence, all the wisdom of the universe, and I therefore am recognizing my oneness with the Father Creator. I am recognizing my oneness with the Father Creator, that which created me, and every living thing came from that same intelligence. And Jesus said, the Father and I are one. And it's our opportunity to consider the same truth. Jesus, as the elder brother, is telling us, we are one. We are one. So I examined all of that, and then I got done, and I had this great idea. I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Google. I used to Hugel. Did I say that recently? I used to Hugel. He's gone. He left me. Honey? I used to Hugel. It was much easier than Googling. You could ask him a question, and he would tell me the answer to the question, and if I disagreed, I would just go, oh, he's so full of it, and I would go on. And then I would look at the computer and see what the computer had, but sometimes he would give me a really lively response, and I would share it with you, but I always qualify. I like to state my sources, right? I would Hugel, and now I think, I don't know, I'm communicating with my sister, really. We talk every day now. It's kind of a new thing, and her name is Debbie. I'm thinking of Deb Binging. Deb Binging. Is that a good idea? Yeah? Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a full day of those. I'm sorry, I'm on. I got it today. So I asked Google, because that's my first engine I search on. I asked Google, what's the purpose of prayer? Now, Google isn't going to think like me. Google's going to give me a vast ocean of possibility to explore in how we would define that. How would different religious views define the purpose of prayer? And so I perused, oh man, I went down the rabbit hole big time. I perused all kinds of responses to that, and my favorite one that sort of summed up all of them, it had a little bit of all of them in it, came from a webpage called heartfulness.org. What is the main purpose of prayer? Let me read to you what they said. I think you will find it pleasing, as I did. Traditionally, we pray to a higher power or God for things of necessity and want. Traditionally. However, the purpose of prayer cultivates an attitude of humility and acceptance two things, humility and acceptance. And it establishes our relationship with the source, with God, in the right manner. It creates a feeling, the purpose of prayer. Prayer creates a feeling akin to that of a baby cradled in its mother's arms. Prayer should melt our heart. You see why I love that? You know, a baby in a mother's arms. How could a little baby have so much power that we melt? And we do. We do. We melt when we see the gorgeous clouds in the sky. This has been a monsoon season that has been just ultra gorgeous. Sunrise can melt your heart. I saw a little baby lizard on my windowsill. Thank God he was on the outside and not the inside. And I saw it, and once I assured myself he wasn't in the house, it melted my heart. I just was trying to pet him because he was so cute. He was so little and he didn't run, right? So that's what prayer is for, to help us get back to that place where we can feel deeply in that inner way that our heart, do you hear this? Your heart has to soften. We have to get out of the way and quit thinking that we're the power, that we're the ones doing all the work. We forget that, no, we align ourselves and remember that there is a power that's greater than we are. And when we posture ourselves in that, when we unify with that, when we understand oneness and connection with God, we are then connected with everything and everyone, and it becomes holy ground. And from that space, there is a different consciousness through which we are experiencing our day. Now, when he says, or she, I don't know who wrote it, when they say, we are cultivating an attitude of humility and acceptance, I want to say right away that religiously humility can be a very loaded word. And so I want you to pay attention to it, because what the reversal of affirmative prayer does is it takes us away from that posture that says, Lord, I know I'm not worthy, and yet I come to you because I need, or or this tragic thing is happening in my life. And that's not the kind of humility that we're talking about. I actually had somebody pray like that in my home. And I telling you, I laughed. He's like, I don't pray that way anymore. No, I'm sorry. Yes, he may be the humble servant, but he is worthy to approach God in whatever way he approaches God. And I'm telling you, I was sitting there. It was a really beautiful prayer. It was a really moment. It was a beautiful moment. And all of a sudden I'm going, I don't believe that. Not sure I believe that. Or actually, I am sure I don't believe that. So it's not that kind of humility. I think that's the whole problem, is that humility, it comes when our heart is softened, when we know how powerful God is, when we know how much access we have to all that power, and we don't have to do anything but remember that, to align ourselves and harmonize with it. And then we recognize that as children of God, we are definitely worthy. Humility means that we know when to step out of the way and to surrender into a greater possibility, something perhaps that we can't even imagine in our own minds yet. We surrender into that power. And so we have to be willing to do the things that go along with whatever it is that we'd like to accomplish. We often say, we speak of, we treat, spiritual mind treatment, we treat and we move our feet, right? We take actions as we need to. But when we blend humility and acceptance together, we now have a softness of the heart. Prayer is for the purpose of cultivating a receptive heart, and it requires a certain amount of awe. right? Of reverence for how holy life is. And we can pray for an ability to see it, to recognize it, speak it, and feel it within us. So, again, back to why do we pray? When I pray, I am attempting to evoke within me that the feelings, that kind of awareness at a feeling level within me that will then soften my heart, open my heart so that I can receive the good that I desire. Remember, it's humility and acceptance. Are you ready to receive? That's what the prayer does. It gets you primed so that you can open yourself to be ready to receive. So, whenever it feels like something is missing or something is not proceeding in the direction you thought, expected it would, I don't try and change the course right away because sometimes I know there might be something better going on here, so I pay attention. I get awake and I watch and I talk to God about it. If something is out of order, nature naturally desires to restore that order, and she does it every time. So we want to get out of the way and let that reordering unfold in our very own lives. If we need to be strengthened, we can remember that no matter how difficult a trial is that you're walking through, remember God's right here. God is right here, and there's no limit to how big the presence of God and how supporting the presence of God can be in my life. Always shining the light, showing us the way through whatever it is. You know, most of our modern theories that come out of the human behaviorists that study this stuff, they say that the source of all our problems can be traced back to our sense of worthiness. So get really clear on what it means to be humble. Because, you know, when the ego feels less than, the ego will act out. That's when we get ourselves into trouble. Something happens, you start posturing yourself because you feel somebody misunderstood you in a conversation or an action, and you start posturing yourself because you're getting ready to defend yourself or go to war. And that's when we act out. That's when we misbehave. So we don't deny any of this. We don't try and use positive thinking to turn the ship around, but rather the humility is in that place where we step back to open ourselves to be a vessel, to allow God to express through us at a level that's higher than we might be able to imagine at a certain given time. I think that 12-step programs have a beautiful emphasis on humility and on what I love about 12-step programs is the idea of finding the God of your understanding. Do you hear that? That is the same starting point we are talking about when we go to the beginning. In the beginning, God. So some people aren't religious. Some people aren't even all that spiritual maybe, but they're there because they see how effective the program is for them, and still they're encouraged to find a power that's bigger, that's outside of, it's bigger than me. That's how I want to say it. So there's a power. It's not just outside of us. It's also within us, and that's where we get the inward gleams, the interior knowing that wisdom is always there. So when I've remembered the truth of who I am, then something about me becomes really holy. I am worthy. I know how to stand before God and declare my great and mighty truths. I can claim my good in a much better way. And I open myself to be a vessel through which God can show up in all my endeavors. And that's a beautiful thought. The ancients often said, Holmes would quote these as well, God's delight is for us to discover the divinity within us. God's delight. It is the delight of God that we're on this planet and we're doing this confusing search. We're moving through every day. We're looking at the world going, holy cow, what's going on? And the delight is that there's a divinity within us that is a different kind of light that allows us a different kind of vision. It is a higher vision, and that really makes a difference. So, if the theologians suggest, as they suggest, that the only thing Jesus ever prayed for was unity, then let's look at that through the eyes of the Lord's Prayer. Every so often I like to do this. In the beginning, the Lord's Prayer, the model prayer, Jesus said, they asked Jesus, how then shall we pray? And he said, pray then this way. Our Father, our creator of all things. In the beginning, God, you start at the very beginning, we recognize God. Hallowed be thy name. Holy is the nature of your name. Sacred is the joy and the love and the peace and the harmony. These traits, these qualities, these divine qualities that we name God. Holy are these things. Holy is the nature of God. And then we have reverence for those things. We recognize they are God-given gifts, and we are feeling. We begin to try and feel that, or we see that it impacts our attitude and the way we move through our day, because we are moving through our day with deep respect and awe for the holiness of life. Once we recognize, hallowed be thy name. Holy is the nature of God. So always start there, presence and power. Recognize the presence and the power that's right there before you. And then the prayer goes on to say, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Union again. We're bringing together the heavens and the earth. We're unifying the godly part of us with the earthly part of us. We see the human and the divine, and they say, did something just happen to the sound? Did you just turn me down so everything's okay and maybe I'm not so loud? The human and the divine. The divine is the vertical that goes up. The human is on the earth. It's the horizontal. And human beings are the intersecting of the cross. That's where we come in. We are born through that intersection of the meeting of heaven and earth. So we are unifying the earthly with the heaven, and the human and the divine. That's oneness, my friends. That's what oneness is. And then that really difficult part, forgive us. Forgive us for our sins as we forgive those who have sinned in where we feel bad. You know what's happening? We are unifying now all of humanity. We are beginning to anchor ourselves in the truth that this is a brotherhood, that we are brothers and sisters in this process of creation. We have been unified in such a way that it helps me when I remember that. It helps me remember that as much as I want peace in my life today, so does that person who just didn't behave very peacefully. As much as I want love in my life, so does that person that didn't behave that way. So we begin to see there's this theme of union that carries on, and then there's that line that said, lead us not into temptation, Oh yeah, keep sin behind, get behind me, Satan. It's like we want to stay. Well, you know what that's saying is, now unify me with the goodness that desires to be expressed in my life today. I want to be one with that. I want to know it. I want to be aware of it, and I want to show up that way. There's a quote from Holmes that says, expectancy speeds progress. Therefore, live in a continual state of expectancy. No matter how much good you are experiencing today, you should expect greater good tomorrow. Now, if you've been here for a while, you have heard me use that quote before because I think it's such a good place to go back. But how beautifully this fits in expecting our good and looking at the unifying principles of the universe and the way that life works, in recognizing that prayer is this gorgeous tool we have to establish connection and to enhance our awareness of that sense of oneness. Yeah, that's where we are. And as we do it today, we can do it even a little better tomorrow. Now, when I have used that quote, it's almost like when I read that quote, I can feel an energy stir here and there. Just a little, 2 or 3 of you in the audience at least, are feeling like in your head you're going, no, and I really don't read minds, but I can feel the energy of it. You go, oh, but Reverend Karen, how can you say that when the world looks so crappy? How can you say that when there's so much bad happening on the planet right now? The very planet is threatened. You know, our lives. Is there the recession, the price of gas, all of that goes through our minds, and or the opposite, not the opposite, but another aspect of that is that you say in your mind, Reverend Karen, you just don't know what's going on in my life right now. And I don't. I can't know that, and I can't, that's not mine to do. What I know is how principle works. What I know is how God shows up. What I know is you have the equal access to Spirit as I do, and that ultimately things will change and it will look different, and that each and every one of us has to walk this path of life and have those experiences. So here's what I want to say to you. If it goes through your mind, but Reverend Karen, how can you expect that? I would say to you, how can you not? How can you not? How could we go through our lives and not have hope and not believe that everything's going to be okay in the end? And by the way, it will never end, because that's what life does. Life is eternal and ongoing forever, ever and ever becoming. How can you not be positive? Why would you even want to live that life? Because what would be the point of living if that were true? So just try that on and see how that feels. You know, Thomas Jefferson said, this is such a great quote, hope is cheaper and more pleasant than gloom or despair. So that's what I use prayer for. I want to humbly stand before the mighty presence of God and open myself to receive the good that comes from seeing that good, seeing that harmony, applying it in my very own personal life. And it keeps me out of the gloom and the despair. And every now and then I need a kick in the pants, so I go back to the beginning. God is, and you can too. Here's what I want you to think about. Here's your takeaway. That angst that we feel when things look gloomy or scary or hopeless, there's a divine tension going on in there. That angst comes from the extreme of the two polarities that are possible. So one is peace and one is great disorder, right? And we're in the middle of that. So that, what you feel, that discomfort, that maybe you even hate it, right? Whatever you would name that emotion, that energetic that comes from the things we see that we aren't happy with, what if that's just your call to prayer? What if that is absolutely human and natural and God-given? And we instead have thought that we have to find a way to be more peaceful or a way to be more forgiving or a way, and all those things are true, but when you go to God first, you will feel more peaceful. You will have a greater sense of grace in your life. And also, see, that's God's stuff inside of you. And then remember that sometimes with our effort to be a positive thinker and to try and be happy and pleasant to be around, sometimes then you have to watch for ways you're trying to cover up the angst. Remember, the angst is there. It's a call to you. It's a call for you to, how do they say it? Get on your knees. It's a call to, I don't know. It's never very Christian. I don't know. Some of you are holding out. You could bail me out right now. I know you could. But let's talk here. I want to talk about chickens. Let's go back to the top. Let's talk about the real important stuff here. Let's talk about the chickens. Do you know when a hen gets broody? Do you know what it means when a hen gets broody? Kathy knows. Why don't you come to is there a mic here you could stand? I'm going to ask you to say something in a minute. I'm going to talk first though. When a hen gets broody, she won't leave her nest. And so Kathy has chickens, and I have been privileged to sit in her chicken coop on a little bench, a little stool she brought for me, and I got to hold the prettiest, fluffiest, softest chicken I've ever seen in my life, and there are pictures of it somewhere. And they are so lovable. She said, just sit here, one will jump on your lap, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. But when a hen gets broody, she won't leave the nest. She's going to sit in that nest. Even if there's no rooster in the barnyard to make baby chickens, she's going to sit on those eggs because something has stirred her hormones, and her maternal instinct cannot be argued with. Now, Kathy, one of the things I didn't tell you is that I read that it can have to do with the weather, how many hours of sunshine we have in the day. There are lots of things that can contribute to her getting this maternal instinct. She is going to be hard to get off that nest. And in fact, my sister, who also has my sister's farm is called the Blue Coop Farm. And she has chickens, and she says sometimes it's scary to stick your hand under that hen to try and retrieve any eggs that might be there, because she wants those eggs to hatch. She has an instinct she knows what it takes to support new life, and she can be grumpy about it. Been grumpy lately? I know what it's like to be grumpy too. She wants to hatch those chickens, and she gets determined, and she wants to be on that nest. And so tell me what you told me earlier, Kathy, about how what was it they share what did you tell me?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, she's in there in this one spot, and of course, all the other chickens have to come lay their egg. And so they all want to lay in the same spot. I have 3 nests there. They all, of course, want to go in the little dark, peaceful corner to do it. So she's sitting there, laying on an egg. So they come in and they crowd her in that one spot. They lay the egg, and then she kind of grabs that egg and puts it under, and then they leave.
She'll try and she snatches their eggs, and then she's going to brood over them. So the mother hen knows that, that there's something in the future. Her instinct is that she has to take care of this and nurture it because there's something in the future. And she's keeping her eye on the prize. When I talked to my sister about it yesterday, by the way, you may not, I don't know if you've heard of this, but my sister said that when they get a broody hen, that they'll take her eggs and they'll put a golf ball under her, and sometimes she will sit on the golf ball and be as satisfied. Isn't that interesting? I thought, is my brother-in-law golfing? And I called my sister, and she went, oh no, we bought the golf balls because it's a good tool to get she can brood over the golf balls. But my sister said it this way. She said they get grumpy, and you said they make noises too, right? They make a certain noise like,
It's called a growl.
And my sister says she interprets that to say, I'm making new life. Back off. And I like that. I really like that. So the hen doesn't give up when she feels broody. Do you hear the message there? Karen? I'm getting to that. So hear the message of this, that she gets broody, but she doesn't lose the goal of what she's there to do. She keeps her eye on the prize, so keep your eye on God. Don't forget to go to your knees in prayer if you have too much angst, and use this great way of finding a way to keep your heart supple and open, and to feel the presence of God in everything you do. It's just an instinct to preserve life, to nurture life. And that hen wants nothing more than to give her gifts to the world. We need to give our gifts to the world. And so if we're broody over that, then that's okay. There are days where you want to stay in the nest. I know that. I have days where, COVID had some nice parts where you didn't have to go out as much, But there's a reason, and we want to realize that those are instincts that we have, and they are God-given. They are calling us to action, so pray. Pray for clarity, pray for vitality, pray for perfect order, and don't forget to pray for joy. It's okay to be happy, and in fact, it's good for us to be happy. So if the hen sits on her eggs for 21 days, and Holmes says, then we should be able to contemplate an idea of our own for 21 days to keep it warm and alive. Let us realize that expectancy is more than positive thinking. It's really anticipatory. Right? It's vibrant, it's strong, it's alive. And our expectancy can help to preserve life on this planet. So let us not lose sight of our global heart vision. We believe in a world that works for all. And we do not believe that can be diminished by any government, by any war, by anything that happens in the tension of our human experience. So I wanted to end this morning by saying, in an honest attempt to try and finally resolve the question, the age-old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I want you to know that I've done something, apparently just for Karen Izzy, so she can rest, so you can sleep again at night. I think we're going to have it all figured out, Karen, because I did the homework for all of you. I got on Amazon, and I ordered an egg, and I ordered a chicken. We'll see which one is delivered first. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. The plot chickens. All right, my friends, let's take that little bit of humor. Some of that was a little heavy today. I didn't know that when I wrote it. It all felt light and happy to me, but boy, I could feel my body getting into it. Let's pray. Let's take that amazing first step. Take a breath. Just feel for a moment, whether you're at home or sitting in this sanctuary, become aware of other listeners. And let's just breathe in the beauty of our brotherhood and our sisterhood, the wholeness of all humanity. And together we remember God. God is right here in this very room, wherever we are sitting in this moment. Right here is the full presence and the full power of the Almighty, the infinite intelligence of all the universe. And for a moment, we just feel the love of God. Breathe in that love and notice that there's something warm that happens, like watching a mother hold a brand new baby. We are softened. It melts our hearts in this magnificent way wherein we can sense and feel that presence of God. How wonderful it is to remember again that it doesn't matter where we are or what we are going through, right there is the fullness of Spirit. And so we feel that connection. We allow that love to ripple through our bodies. We recognize that the love that we feel is the activity of life. It is the activity of God. For that which created us to be like that. So I feel that love of God, and I allow it to empower me from that internal awareness. And at the same moment, as we tap into that presence and that power, we notice that there's something soft and sweet and perfect in our very inward feelings and the way that life desires to express through us. So we relax into that open space. We humble our hearts so that we aren't pushing and trying to fix or change things, but instead we are standing in the golden light of God, of Spirit, of the holiness of life. And we are allowing that gorgeous divineness to soften us from the inside out. so that we can be receptive to that good, so that we can be vessels to receive the good that is ours, so that we can allow Spirit to express through us and that God might be a little more present on the planet today. And so, as we renew the vibrancy of our vital, vibrant, divine self, and we become more aware of it, everything becomes easier. Our vision is cleared. We open ourselves to see from a loftier height because it is a divine height. Our Godward gaze now pulls into our awareness this life divine, that part of this planet and this life and these relationships that are always holy, that can never be broken or less than. And we allow the grace of God to pour into our awareness. We allow that grace to awaken that wisdom within us. So it's like a light shining in and a light shining out, and this immense divine clarity is given. We accept, we receive, we are healed from that which ails us, and we know that that movement of love on this planet that we now open our hearts to experience is the very healing force of life. That it where there is a call for forgiveness, it is given, it is received. That there is only this beautiful, deep connection on this glorious web of life. And so I know that we are enhanced in every way. We are uplifted. That this spiritual community benefits from these blessings that we speak forward and call forward today. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite Spirit, for this and for so much more. We release these words into that dynamic law that always says, yes, my child, yes. We let it be, and together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right, thank you, Bradford. I was like, how did that mic get on the floor? Yeah, Reverend Karen getting a little wavy around up here, knocked it off and everything. That's what I'm thinking. All right, so just a really quick reminder about tomorrow. The Conscious Creation Art Studio launches its first artistic and holistic creative gathering. So Karen is like, yes, Reverend Karen. Karen Izzy will be doing the workshop tomorrow. It's at 4 p.m. It's $30, and the first one is going to be a color wheel. Is it $30 covers all of the workshops, or just that one? Just that one. Okay. All right, so if you can join us, please be here tomorrow and experience that beautiful artistic expression. So now's the time to remember the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community. So we're going to say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Here we go. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Now let me really hear ya. It feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. Now sing it. To be alive. It feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. It feels so good to be alive. It feels so good to be alive. One more time. It feels so good to be alive. Woo!
And for all you shoppers out there, the thrift store is open, so it feels good to shop. All right, so let's closing affirmation. Repeat after me. I am worthy. I claim my good. And God supports me every step of the way. And so it is.